Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Richest Men in Town podcast. I'm Mike Freeman, and along with my good friend and co-host Tyler Gould, we're excited to welcome you to our little podcast project. Tyler and I are just a couple of middle-aged husbands and dads driven to live our best lives. We want to be better every day, so here we'll be sitting down with great people. Not famous people, but great people that we admire, to learn their secret to living the rich life. Probably not the rich life you're thinking of. Our guests come in humbled and surprised at the invitation and hopefully leave feeling proud and grateful, realizing just how good they really have it. So pull up a chair, stay a while, and raise a glass with us as we toast our guests to the richest men in town. What's in a name, Tyler Gould? What's in a name? How about this name? Wade Snarr. You ever heard of cooler name than Wade Snarr?
No, and you know, it's funny is when you say what's in a name, right? How many times have you uttered that phrase, what's in a name? Well, tonight we find out what's in Wade Snarr, and it's pretty miraculous, to be honest.
I love the vulnerability that somehow this podcast format creates.
Yeah.
So Wade, straight up listeners, Wade was a stranger to me. Coming into this episode, I did not know Wade Snarr. In fact, full disclosure, I didn't even get a chance to do the pre-show call with you guys the other night because I had a family thing. So I come in and I'm just 100% trusting Tyler Gould, which is a great mission statement in life in general, right? Like just trust Tyler Gould, you'll be fine. But I come in and here's an admission acquaintance from back in your days in the Ohio, and Wade Snarr, man, delivers. A little bit of broken road, right?
Yeah.
A little bit of heartbreak, a little bit of I'm going to pick up the pieces and start over.
Yeah. I really feel like there was, every element, every element that you could think of was in Wade's story. He talks about love and loss, and he talks about, like you said, rebuilding and picking up the pieces,
or even like I don't know if reluctant faith.
Yeah.
Right. But he's kind of he's going through motions. He even says that himself. He says the words, right? He's going through motions, and then he kind of has a watershed moment where nothing's the same. But that watershed moment is way down the road.
Right. And I think the path to discovery, right, was a long path, right? So I think I was impressed by his journey tonight, especially when as it related to his faith. And it just made me kind of think about my own dedication, right? Mm-hmm. And how I can strengthen that. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, people ask all the time, how do you know when someone's the caliber that you're looking for on the show? I got a symptom. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
When the bat signal goes up and service is needed, who shows up first?
Yeah.
Quite possibly, that's the richest men in town.
Yeah. And look, and it's funny because we've said this multiple times on this show, but his answer to the final question of the show was different than anybody else's. And yet it was exactly the same as everyone else's. And I just
love it because I can't spoil it. I can't spoil it.
I wanted to spoil it too.
But it exudes the whole humility that makes these guys so amazing, and women. Like we're 76 episodes in, but it's just like these folks are salt of the earth. They don't want the recognition.
Yeah.
Right. Now we're not pulling teeth to get them to share out their journey, right? We're not hooking them up to electroshock therapy if they don't tell us what we want to know. I love the way Wade is an open book. I love the way Wade lets us in, man, but he lets us in on some things.
Yeah. Yeah.
He lets us in on some things that I know our listeners are going to be able to relate to, right? There's loss, there's grieving, there's anger, there's fallout.
Yeah.
And there's fallout that is none of his fault. Well, no one's perfect, right? But he's in a situation because of some choices that other people have made, and he's got to pick up pieces.
Yeah.
And along comes Lori.
Along Comes Lori. Maybe that's the name of the episode, huh? But I tell you what, it was a powerful couple of hours, and I appreciated the chance to get reacquainted with Wade, and I'm glad that you and I, Mike, had the opportunity to spend some time with him tonight.
Yeah, I'm just glad that I know you know Wade, and because of that, I know Wade, and I think I'm a better person for the time I spent with Wade Snarr. I'll tell you, I love this. He's a handyman.
Yeah.
And people come up to him all the time and they ask the question, "Hey, I heard you're handy. Can you fix this?"
Yeah.
I love that thought, right? Can you fix this? If someone's in a situation right now listening to the Richest Men in Town and they think their situation can't be fixed, maybe, just maybe, Wade's story, right? Maybe, just maybe that journey might hold some keys, some wisdom keys for helping people fix things.
Amen.
I love that.
Amen.
So time well spent tonight. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Wade. Thank you to Wade's family as well. I feel like I love them. And man, there's just something powerful about that empathy, compassion loop. If we can remember what it felt like and vow to do some things so that no one ever has to feel the pain that maybe we felt, we're just going to be better.
Yeah, that's
right. We're going to be better. People we're going to help are going to be better. And maybe the world might be a little better. So favors in the bank, right?
Favors in the bank, man. I love it.
Favors in the bank. Well, we raise our glass. We tip our hat. Wade Snarr, thank you for showing up. Thank you for telling your story. To our listeners, enjoy your time. We know you will, with Wade Snarr on this episode of The Richest Men in Town. I'm an idiot, Tyler Gould.
Oh, no. Tell me what's happening, man.
I'm an idiot. I know I should know better. We are, we can round up to 100 basically, but it's episode 76.
Yeah.
75 just went rearview mirror.
75 came and went.
No pomp, no circumstance.
Zero pomp. We
all
had
business.
Zero pomp. Yeah.
So long story, I mean, my point in this is I've done this before.
Yeah.
And I know I can't eat on the show. So why do I bring a brownie into the lab?
You know, it's like that experiment with the kids, right? And the marshmallow, where they just say, "Hey, you know what? Here's the marshmallow, but don't eat it." And this is what we're going to do with you for the next 2 hours. You're just going to stare at a brownie, man.
And there was crazy benefits, right? Those kids turned out to be like geniuses or like Nobel Peace Prize winners if they didn't eat the marshmallow within the 2 minutes or something.
Yeah. So I think if you can hold off on a brownie for 2 hours,
I'm going to give me 5 minutes, bro.
The sky is the limit, man. The sky is
We're going to test your sound editing skills because you're going to hear some consuming of brownie in about T-minus 3 minutes.
All right. Well, I like a good challenge.
Are your Dodgers going to take care of business tomorrow night? By the time this thing drops, your fate is sealed.
Yeah. By the time this thing drops, I'll either be an angry,
crushing on the Braves,
disgruntled.
Like the Braves, the Braves are going to be that token offering to whoever wins between the Giants and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I mean, agree. Props to my brother. Not literally, but Freddie Freeman, love you.
And I'm a huge Jock Peterson fan. So yeah, there we go. But you know what? I don't know, man. This has been a funky chase between the Giants and the Dodgers. So
yeah, but it looks like your boy Mookie's getting it rolling.
Mookie was on fire last night, which was
some Will Smith.
Watch. Will Smith he's a key component, man. Now, if we could get Bellinger to do something more than once every 15 at bats, we'd be in a good spot, man. No, it's been fun to watch.
Bellinger.
Yeah, the bum, man.
I've actually I was listening to a couple of episodes ago, and you were talking about your animosity that you have towards Cody Bellinger, and I've heard the bum call before when we went to the Padres.
Oh, yeah.
You that was what you yelled from the seats at Machado.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Bum is one of my go-tos, as a matter of fact. It's a very versatile insult when it comes to a baseball game. So,
all right. So tonight we've got Wade Snarr.
Yes.
Man, might be the best name so far.
Could be. I mean, we've had a couple good ones, but
We have had a couple good ones.
It could be. Yeah,
Dan Funk is right up there, right?
Dan Funk is right up there. And for those of you that are fans of the richest man in town, Dan Funk will be joining us in a couple weeks to talk about some things that have transpired in his life. So we're excited about that.
Hey, one of these days we're going to up our game and we're going to have like a soundtrack, and I can push a button, and I would have hit the applause button just now.
Yeah, or like
because richest men in town fans hearing Dan Funk coming back, applause.
Yeah, I mean, we've actually had people reach out to us via email and other ways and ask us what is going on in Dan Funk's life, and so we're excited to have him back on, man. It'll be fun to catch up and hear what's happening.
Imagine if we had a laugh track button too. Our stuff would be so much funnier.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had one of those just in my back pocket everywhere I went, man. That would be great.
Gruden, we're not ready to go there. We're not ready.
It's a little raw. It's a little raw. Yeah, it's a little raw. I think we got our 3 wins for the year.
Raw. This is a lot raw.
We got our 3 wins for the year, and we're good. You know,
that's where I'm at. Right, Russ's finger 3. Yeah. I'll take 2 wins, but you know.
But hey, I got Gino beating the Steelers this week. Yeah, come on.
Tell me you're not putting your kid's college fund on Geno Smith.
Maybe, you know, but look, you can put a little pressure on Big Ben. That guy's not moving anywhere. That's my theory, man. You got some good linebackers there in Seattle. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Sunday night football, man. They should have flexed.
My kids aren't going to college if it doesn't happen. So,
yeah, if it happens, you might hit big and you might be able to get Abby that Audi she's been asking for.
That's true. That's
true. This thing started.
Well, she's got her fingers crossed. We'll hope that happens.
How are things? How's your senior doing?
She's good, man. She is. She's good. We're in the middle of homecoming planning. We're in the middle of field hockey season, getting ready for soccer season. It's a nonstop bundle of activity over here in the Gould household with the seniors. So it's fun, but it's also, you have a senior yourself, that you become very aware of all of these last moments. And so that's a little painful, but it's also super exciting. And this isn't for you and I both, it's not our first rodeo counting those moments. So
correct. Hey, I've got a question. This is right up Tyler Gould's alley.
I love it.
You are a cultured dude.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay.
You exude culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a good friend of mine reach out to me, and I had a moment where maybe he thinks I'm older than I am.
Ooh, yeah.
Or maybe I'm not ready to admit how old I am.
Okay. I've been there.
Text goes something like this. Hey, you're a wild and crazy guy like me, aren't you?
Okay.
Of course I am. I'm going to answer that in the affirmative.
Yeah,
absolutely. There's nobody more wild and crazy than me.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hit
absolutely.
me. He's like, tomorrow night, you, me, Doobie Brothers concert.
Doobie Brothers. Can you drop a Doobie Brothers song on me right now?
Oh, Roll Black Water.
Okay.
Roll Black Water.
Well, check this out. I am this weekend going to see Willie Nelson. What do you feel about that?
Hold on. Let's mine first. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. You go ahead. Yeah.
So I actually responded and said, hey, I'm not down. I'm down for a road trip. I'm down for a late night. I'm down for paying the price Friday, but not for Doobie Brothers. Sorry.
Yeah. Look, I'm with you 100%. I would have passed on Doobie Brothers.
Would you have?
Yes.
All right. Because if you Google Doobie Brothers, you're going to be able to sing every freaking song they've ever sung.
Look, I know that
I guess it's some big 50th anniversary, and Michael McDonald.
Yeah.
Their estranged lead singer is now back with them or something.
I know. I'm out on Doobie Brothers, man. Okay, I get it.
I made the right call.
I think it's the right call. But look, if I called you right after that and said, Mike Freeman, you are a wild and crazy guy,
Affirmative.
I've got an extra ticket to Willie Nelson. How do you feel about that?
Absolutely. Strictly for the fact that he's an icon.
Amen. I agree.
It's like, why are we watching Clint Eastwood movies anymore? Because he's still an icon.
That's true. Yeah.
Right? William Shatner's 90 and he's up in space.
Yeah.
He's an icon.
He's an icon.
You know,
Absolutely.
like I don't like, does he merit the attention he's getting? Absolutely not. But Willie Nelson, absolutely. I'd do that.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this. Just
Now if you can make sure that there's a late night Baconator run, you know what I'm saying?
You're
throw some of that in there.
I think if you're at a Willie Nelson concert, Baconators and any other kind of munchies go right with that, right?
Yeah, there is that contact high you're going to have to deal with.
That's right.
I think that now that it's all legalized, I think that our tolerance for contact high is way higher.
That's true.
Where are we going with this?
I don't know.
We got to bring this back.
We do got to bring this back. Yeah, we got to bring it back.
People right now are going to be like, "Whoa, did Mike Freeman just say contact high?" I am wild and crazy.
You are wild and crazy, and unfortunately, I don't have an extra ticket to Willie Nelson, but I will. I'll let you know how it is.
Yeah. Now, if I would have texted you after I say yes to this guy and, hey, I'm going to Doobie Brothers tomorrow, would you shame me a little bit, or?
I probably would just, I'm always up for expressing my opinion. So I would say, yeah, I'm not gonna, doesn't do anything for me, Yeah.
We do have to admit though, like we are at the stage where it's actually a good place to be musically, because a lot of our folks that we love and adore, they're on Indian casino tours right now, and tickets are a lot cheaper than back in the day.
Yeah, this is true. You can really, it's sort of like metal hair bands, or like a dime a dozen.
Yeah. So where are you seeing Willie?
I am seeing Willie at the San Diego Credit Union Amphitheater at San Diego State University.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet you he's going to have some stories.
I'm excited to see what goes down. I mean, he's getting up there, we'll see what happens. It's the Outlaw Music Tour. So I don't know who's with them, but hopefully some outlaws, or else, some false advertising.
Outlaw Music Tour. That's interesting.
Tour. Yeah.
Okay. Well, enjoy that.
I will. I'll let you know how that is. So, yeah, man, I had this thought today. I was scrolling through my social media, and I saw, Facebook, it likes to give you these memories, right? It pops up these things that have happened in the past. And it was a picture of my son standing in front of the San Diego temple, holding his Brazil flag, celebrating his mission call to Brazil. And that was 1 year ago today. So he is reaching his 1 year mark as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he is not in Brazil. He's in Casper, Wyoming right now, doing the work.
Like as far away culturally, geographically as you can get.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so it's interesting because I get to talk to him on a regular basis, but I just had the thought today as I was looking at that. I thought, man, that, obviously his heart is in Brazil, but what a good lesson on lifting where you stand, right? I mean, just you do the work where the work is, and that's the size of it. Even though I think that, there's definitely some, maybe, I don't know if sadness is the word, but disappointment. Yeah. On some level,
Yeah, but it's love. Love is love. You love whoever you're serving, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Teaching that, the importance of expect that unexpected.
Yeah.
Right. Nothing, even if it's written and signed by a prophet of God, nothing's necessarily outlined in stone.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool. I think, and he probably would disagree with me at this point in his life, but I think it's a cool lesson. I mean, I think that if you look at at our guests from episode 1 to episode 75, there is probably a segment of our conversation that deals with disappointment. And I think in that segment, and I can think just to Corey, who we had on last week, talked about, but these are things that made me who I am, right? We talk about Mark Mendenhall, and he said, but if you had me change something, would it change my outcome? Okay, then I don't want to do it, right? So I think there's an interesting thing in the rich life being led on being able to embrace disappointment, maybe not in the middle of it, but at some point find the value of that disappointment.
Yeah, I think that here's where I'm at, man. Here's where I'm at. I think we even talked last week, right? God has no formulas.
Right.
He knows what is best for us.
Yeah.
And while that might be hard sometimes to accept, to live with, as we do, we gain that perspective and we're able to look back in the rearview mirror and see, oh man, I needed to go to Wyoming.
Yeah.
Because I met XYZ person, had XYZ experience, right? But in the end, that is what is best.
Right.
And it's kind of cool having the perspective. When you're in it, maybe it's not so cool sometimes.
Yeah, I think maybe it's not so cool. And maybe it's not so cool for a year. Maybe it's not so cool for 10 years. Maybe it's not so cool for 15 years. But at some point, I think that the growth comes when we can actually maybe take ourselves out of the emotion of it and say, what was that I was in the middle of, and kind of start picking things out of it that are meaningful. And that could be anything, right? I mean, but
well, I mean, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for these kids to come home for lots of reasons, but like just to see the growth, right? Just to see how they're handling these things that life's handed them. Let me tell you about this morning.
Yeah.
Second time this has happened to me.
Okay.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by The Chosen. I don't know if you've watched The Chosen. I don't know if you've had any experiences with The Chosen. Powerful stuff. I'm telling you twice, Tyler. I've been at the Y, working out early morning, watching it with the AirPods.
Yeah. Earbuds.
Am I in that Progressive commercial where you might be your dad? So I'm listening to him and I'm bawling.
Are you playing it off like you're crying because of your working out so hard?
I don't know what other people are thinking of my experience, but I'm having a moment.
I love it, man.
I'm having a moment like Corey did in his pillow the other, last week he shared with us. Just kind of raining down and like, something about seeing the three-dimensional, seeing the characters and the personalities that we know two-dimensional in the New Testament come to life three-dimensional with all of their flaws, and Simon Peter and all of the pressures, and just something that you can relate to. And then you see, obviously you see Jesus Christ do what he does and the impact that he has on lives. Remarkable.
Yeah. And I think that I agree. I mean, I think it is phenomenal, and I love it because you're right. It's something to be able to kind of see it and think, almost be able to visualize, right? It's right in front of you, the lives as they're playing out, and some of the things that they experience, and being able to kind of put yourself in that is a cool thing. It's a really cool thing.
And then we get this other cool thing where Grace Freeman's just out there, spreading joy like confetti.
Yeah.
She sends a postcard to somebody who's going through a little bit of a hard stretch. And the person receives our daughter's postcard, takes a picture of it, sends it to us and says, "You made a really cool human."
Yeah, those are the payoff moments, man. Those are really, really cool.
Very, very cool.
Love it.
Little thing, man. Postcard doesn't take much.
No, That's a very cool thing.
Okay, speaking of exercise, working on 237.4.
Okay. You know, you're holding steady. You're holding
Plateau,
steady,
right?
Nah, it's just
I got brownies in my life. You know what I mean? I got issues.
You stare at that brownie for 2 hours, man. The sky is the limit. All right. I'm telling you.
I think my body's actually burning calories looking at the brownie.
That could be. I mean, you're talking about it and I'm burning calories. So it's good. Yeah.
We gotta figure out. I gotta come up with something. But
well, hey, look, I'm excited about having Wade on the show tonight. You know, I think you're gonna like spending some time with him. I think he's got some, you know, like all of our guests, when we first have that initial conversation with them about coming on the show, most of them are like, I don't know, you know, what am I going to bring to the table? And I think, you know, that we're always surprised by the lessons that are taught. And I think sometimes they surprise themselves by the lessons that they're teaching just through living life. Right. So I'm excited to kick the doors open, let Wade in here and figure out, you know, what you and I have to do to get past the plateau, you know?
Yeah. Do you think he would say yes to the Doobie Brothers?
I think we should find out right now. I think we should find out. Let me kick the doors open. Let's bring Wade in and let's find out about the Doobie Brothers.
Willie or Doobie?
Yeah.
If it was Snoop Dogg or something, I'd be all about it. Right.
That's right, man. That's right.
How are you, Wade Snarr? Welcome to the richest men in town.
Hey guys. Thanks. Good to be here.
Well, we're glad you're with us, man. So look, we were breaking down some serious topics before you joined us, and we got to get your take on it. All right.
Caught up. Okay.
Yeah. So
wait,
Mike, go ahead.
I don't know if you have these moments, but every once in a while, life presents me opportunities, reminders, maybe, if you will, of just how old I might be or how old other people perceive me to be. Right. So I just received a text today from a guy, and it literally starts off by saying, "Hey, you're as wild and crazy as me." Right. And I'm like, absolutely. There's nobody more wild and crazy than me. Maybe Tyler Gould, but yes. And he said, "Okay, tomorrow night, I got a ticket for you, Doobie Brothers."
The Doobie Brothers. Yeah. I'm as old as you guys, and I would don't even entertain that.
No, it's it. You're not even
considered.
No.
Okay, what about even just the fact of like maybe a late night road trip adventure with the boys?
Yeah.
Does that appeal, or it's like you hear Doobie Brothers, you're out?
I'm out. Yeah, I'll drop you off at the show and go do my own thing and pick it from my way home.
Doobie Brothers, no love.
No, look, Wade, I said the same thing. All right. So we're on the same page there.
All right.
Okay. And so I'm a pleaser, right? I'm a people pleaser. And I actually respond back, "Sorry, bro, Doobie Brothers isn't doing it for me." And that's saying something, because I would usually just say yes to, right, make somebody happy. But that's where it's at. You know.
So round two is, all right, same call, same scenario. But now the offer is, I've got a ticket for you to Willie Nelson.
I like country. He's just a little too old for me. I don't know. But I don't feel like getting high at the show. So
we did talk about that too. I am actually going to see Willie Nelson this weekend. Yeah. So okay. I'm headed to Willie Nelson.
But you're a Willie dude, right?
I am a Willie fan. I am.
Okay. What about him? What about him?
Dude, I mean, come on. It's Willie Nelson, man. What not about him? The braids, the bandana, the beat up guitar, you know? I mean, come on. He's an icon.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like going to see, you know, I mean, pick the genre, right? But the icon in whatever genre. I feel like Willie.
You owe it to him because he's an icon.
Plus, I'm feeling like if I don't go see him now, that it's done.
He might be gone tomorrow. You don't know.
He could be gone tomorrow. Yeah.
He might go mid-show.
He could go mid-show. That would be.
You would go for that. Yeah,
that would be a story. That would
be a show. Yeah.
So my sister actually was at the last Tom Petty show.
Okay.
She saw Tom Petty. A week later, he dies.
Is that right?
Yeah, and she's going with me to Willie, so I don't know. Right? I mean, who knows?
That's not good.
Yeah, who knows? Don't
No,
tell Willie that.
I would definitely do Tom Petty.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Petty was that's an iconic kind of thing too, right? You kind of gotta. That's one. Even if you're not a big Tom Petty fan, I think you got to go just to say you went. But the Doobie Brothers, like if I told my friends I went to the Doobie Brothers, I think I might get beat up. I don't know.
The guy is actually so into Doobie Brothers. He was making reference to Doobie Brothers songs in the invitation.
Wow.
Yeah, taking he's like, hey, you and me, Doobie Brothers, just taking it to the streets.
See, here's the thing. Like,
I'm like,
all those references would be totally lost on me. I'd be like,
yeah.
Why are we going to the streets? Why don't we just see them at the concert? You know what I mean?
But here's the thing, Tyler. I guarantee you, if you were walking around CVS at 9:00 at night,
yeah,
you would hear taking it to the streets, and you'd be like, taking it to the streets. You'd be like tapping your toes, and you would know this. You would know the next line. Like Wade. No. Like I'm fascinated because I love me some old country. I don't listen to new country, but every time the country music's on, I know the song. Like I don't know how that is.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, how is that? I don't know.
Yeah,
like I don't know any of the new stuff, but like all of a sudden I'm listening to country and I'm singing along, and Kelly's looking at me like, you know country? I'm like, well, like yeah. I mean, you grew up in Rub Bluff. It's like osmosis. It just gets into you.
Right. Or maybe you just spend a lot of time at the CVS and you're just picking it up. You know?
There you go. Yes.
So wait, like, are you? I'm this tempted to take my wife out, and do that fancy like song, like go to Applebee's. Get the whole Oreo shake for two. You know that song that
country song, yeah.
Yeah, there's a country song on fancy like Applebee's on a date night.
Right.
Like do the whole bourbon tips and the Tyler's judging the heck out of me.
No, I mean, look. If you want a cheap date, it sounds good, man. Right?
Are you guys don't do you don't treat your lady right? You don't take them to Applebee's? Is Applebee's beneath you boys?
Dude, I haven't been to Applebee's since I got a real job, you know?
Since you quit working there, yeah.
That's like the other day, I was on a McDonald's run for work, and I threw it out into the group text, and somebody's like, I haven't been to McDonald's since like 1988.
Whoa,
like,
that's strong.
All right.
That's strong. But you know what? I
felt judged, but whatever.
I feel like that's something that someone says that frequents McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to tell you. Yeah, exactly. They're just like, yeah, I never go there, man. No, but I'll have the double McRib or whatever it is, right? They know right out of the gate what it is.
The McRib. This episode is not brought to you by processed, formed, fake rib sandwiches.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, wait, I'm excited. I'm excited to jump in and get to know you a little bit. You and Tyler go back to the Ohio mission, right? The Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah.
We never served with each other, but we were kind of around each other and knew each other. Yeah.
Very cool. So where's home?
Right now I live in Woodland Hills, Utah. Came from Idaho down to Utah to go to school and never left.
Nice. What part of Idaho?
Idaho Falls.
Okay. Yep. We've had a few guests from the Idaho area and some transplants to Idaho recently as well.
Okay.
So that's
there's a thoroughfare of Californians coming your way, Wade.
Yeah, I know. We're getting ready for that.
Yeah.
Get ready.
You guys coming?
Eventually, man. We'll be right there.
There was some stuff that went down recently. It's like, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, maybe I'm coming.
Yeah.
I walked in yesterday, and my wife said, "Hey, there's the perfect job for you." And I was like, "Well, all right." I didn't really know I was looking for one, but okay. Hey, hit me. And BYU had a Department of Belonging.
Department of Belonging. I don't know what that is.
There was an administrative, like a vice president of the new Department of Belonging at BYU Provo.
What is that? Did it give you a description?
Yeah. What's the job description of that?
Yeah. I'm curious. What does the Department of Belonging do?
I'm thinking it's student relations and inclusion and maybe Rush Week or something.
We're just bringing people together. Is that what we're doing? We're just bringing them together. And hey, I'm all for that. Bring them together.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. But hey, it's right up your alley. There's one thing that I know, Mike Freeman, that if Kelly Freeman makes a suggestion, it's probably the right thing. That's what I do know. So
yeah, well, we're sleeping on it.
All right.
We're not coming your way anytime soon, Wade.
Okay.
Except for maybe Thanksgiving and then Turkey Bowl, right? You got some mad turkey bowls out in Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Out Utah way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where Woodland Hills is, but I'm sure you guys throw it down.
In the mount, right up against the mountains.
Oh,
we actually got 4 inches of snow yesterday. So.
You got to be kidding me.
Oh, yeah.
4 inches of
You got snow before Halloween.
Yep.
I don't know how
Tyler, how much fun does that sound?
I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of the snow, man.
When we moved there, it was awesome, but now we're just like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah,
but half the year blowing snow and the other half, I don't know.
Oh man. Well, look, God bless those that live in the snow. That's what I'll say to that, because I can't do it. Maybe, maybe I will one of these days.
Get away from the ocean, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. The proximity to the ocean.
Yeah, you can't give that up. No one gives that up.
No. If you do, you can't get it back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can't afford to.
That's it. That's it, man. You got to hang on.
Well, so Wade, Tyler told me the shocking truth that you were kind of surprised at the invitation to come on a show called Richest Men in Town because you you thought maybe we had the wrong guy.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I see your posts on social media about it, but I've never listened to one until last night. I listened to Watkins.
Oh, good.
Because I know him too. And so I'm like, let's see what this is about. And so I listened to that one. I'm like, wow, okay.
No idea, right? You probably knew Watkins. And I mean, you start lifting the hood and looking at these guys and the lives that they're living and the journey. And man, it's remarkable.
So no pressure, Wade. You listen to Watkins and now you got a little bit of work to do today.
Let's just play his again because that's my story right there.
Well, we're excited. I think I mentioned this to you the other day. We have this conversation a lot. We're 75 episodes. You are episode 76. Is that right, Mike?
True story.
Episode 76. So we've done this a few times, and the common feedback that we get when we extend an invitation is exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Right. Why me? And the cool thing that I think is that's exciting is the fact that Mike and I are thinking we want to talk to Wade because Wade thinks he's living a pretty innocuous life. It's quiet. There's not a lot going on, but we know better, right? I mean, life is life, and and we want to learn. I mean, everybody. It's funny. Everybody has on the surface, right? We try to paint the picture that everything is just totally put together. Right. And the reality is it probably is to some degree, but there's this, there's what got you to that point where it looks as rosy as it is, Mike and I were talking before you came on about just about disappointment in life. My son, I just saw a post today on social media that it had a picture of him in front of the San Diego Temple holding a flag from Brazil, and he just got his mission call and taking pictures, getting ready to go to Brazil. So he's been out a year now, and he has not been to Brazil. He's been in Casper, Wyoming, serving up there, and COVID did a number, pulled the rug out from under a lot of people.
Yeah.
And my thought was, I know when I talk to him, his heart is there in Brazil. He'd like to be there, but what a good lesson, now to kind of learn that, hey, the work is the work, serving is serving. And, whether it's here in Brazil or in Moscow or wherever else. Right.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, when we're in the middle of that, it sucks. I mean, right? I mean, when we're in the middle of that, it's a drag. We're getting right. Disappointment is disappointment. It's hard to be in the middle of disappointment and go, golly, there's going to be some good stuff that comes out on the backside of this one. I mean, when I'm in the middle of disappointment, I'm like, can this end and can we just get past this? So I'm curious, Wade, for you, just kind of thinking about things in your life that you would label as disappointments at one point in time. Are there things that you can look back now, remove from those, and go, well, maybe there's something there that's taught me something, or put me in a different place, or changed my mind about some things?
Oh yeah, probably. I mean, Tyler, I don't know if you know this, but I'm divorced. So I was married for 15, 16 years, and things just kind of started falling apart, and that ended. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest disappointments that anybody could go through is, losing a spouse and then breaking things apart and starting over. But in hindsight, as I look through that, going through that mess, I have all my kids with me. I have a great wife right now. She is fantastic. We've been married for 7 years. I mean, she is so supportive, just an amazing person.
Yeah.
So I lost one, but I gained another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's paint that context for us. So okay. Kids, names, ages.
So I have 7 kids.
Okay.
My oldest is 21. His name's Cameron. I've got an 18-year-old daughter named Allie. 16-year-old son named Christian. Looks like you guys are jotting this down. 14-year-old son named 14-year-old named Pierce. I've got a 7-year-old Adele. A 5-year-old, we call her Emmy, and then a 1-year-old is named Watson.
Oh man, that's the gamut right there.
Yeah,
it's got every milestone is covered.
Those are some great names.
Yeah,
great names. I love Pierce. Any story behind that one?
Just total random name. We just didn't know what to name him, and that just came out, and we were like, yeah, he looks like that. Yeah,
I love it. Man.
So what? And what's your wife's name?
Lori.
Okay, and you guys have been married 7 years.
7 years.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
well, we'll get into all of that, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Tyler, the other night I was having a conversation with somebody, and they cracked open the Book of Mormon, went to Alma 13, one of my favorite chapters, and just talking hinge moments, but not necessarily using our terminology.
Yeah.
Right. That person needs to tune in and listen to a few episodes themselves to kind of capture what we talk about. But he was talking about being a freshman in college and being struggling with just some things.
Yeah.
Right.
And he reads Alma 13:26, and he realizes that the answer is in prayer. And as he picks up and strengthens the habit of prayer, he feels all of those blessings that come in those verses kind of unlock down the line, not immediately, but down the line. And the idea is he looked back and is like, man, if I would have continued on that course without that moment in that verse, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the life that I have today. Right. That moment. It's funny because we talk about hinge moments, a moment that changes everything. And usually it's evident.
Right.
It's evident in that moment. But as I was talking to him, he kind of paints this picture of an idea of like, yeah, it's a hinge moment, but the evidence of that change isn't immediate. It's down the line. You add a decade or something, and then you look back, it's like, whoa, I'm a totally different person.
I like that. I mean, I feel like I'm a slow study as it is, you know what I mean? Like I'm a slow learner. And so I think that there are a lot of my experiences, I can relate to that, is that I think I want an instant gratification, right? I want that immediate recognition that, man, this is going to be life-changing, or this is a life-changing thing. I love it when I hear people tell me like, I did that, changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, maybe Willie Nelson will change my life. You know what I mean? But for me, a lot of it is I did that, I stuck with that, and I can see that changed my life now. Do you know what I mean?
What did it for him is, and you look at the heading of Alma 13, that message is to the high priests.
Right.
So he was a freshman in college, right? And he sees that this advice is given, and he's thinking it's intended for folks down the line.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that gets me thinking
I
about,
like that.
yeah, that gets me thinking about, you know, that gets me thinking about a senior citizen garden, right?
Yeah.
And you're a kid and you're just hanging out and you're listening, or you're in the barber shop and you're listening to old timers talk, and, you know, and some of those moments where advice is given from old people handed down to young people. I don't know if you guys have had any moments like that, right? Where somebody just gives you that best advice you've ever had, and you put it in your pocket, and it does change you over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wade, what's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
Well, I can think of two things. I mean, my dad said I was never going to graduate high school, and then I turned out to be valedictorian of in college. So,
Wow.
Yeah, so that one. But to go along,
was he pushing buttons? Maybe.
No, he just thought I was never going to amount to anything. So,
yeah, man,
there's quite a story. I've got quite a past with growing up and stuff.
Well, yeah, we'll come back to that.
So there's that one. But to go along, Mike, with what you were saying, probably my biggest one is in Alma 7:11. I call that my convenient scripture. I remember sitting. Now, Tyler, I know you're LDS. Mike, I assume you are too.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting in elders quorum, and this is about the time that I was going through this divorce and struggling with my kid's mom. And this instructor was giving this lesson. And, you know, and I go on a mission. I'm raised in the church, everything. And I never even realized this. But, you know, I always thought that Christ just died for our sins. That's it. You know, I'm a sinner. I ask forgiveness. It's given. That's it. I'm listening pretty intently to this instructor give this lesson on Alma here. And Alma 7:11, it talks about how Christ is going to go forth and he's going to suffer for my pains and my afflictions and of every kind. And it hit me. You know, I'm going through all this mess right now. I'm not the one that is sinning, I don't think, but I feel terrible. I feel like garbage, you know, and I'm dealing with all this pain and all this suffering. And it hit me that I don't have to deal with that because Christ has already dealt with that. So I just need to release it and give it back to him. And boy, that changed my life from that point, that I realized that he's not only suffered for everything wrong that I've done, but all the sickness that I'm going to have or have had, just all the hurt, emotional hurt that I was going through at the time, that I'm going to go through, just all that. And just, it was like instant peace right then that I realized that. It was just incredible.
Yeah, and you almost think of like, and I love that verse.
Yeah.
You know, I think of it as same idea, right? Convenience store, 7-Eleven, always open, always available to us, and that Christ is going to do all these things so that he can succor his people.
Right.
And when you think of succor meaning run to, you know, like, and the idea that was those things were nailed on a cross a long time ago.
Yeah.
Those things were carried into a garden where he felt heavy a long time ago, right? And that's done, right? We can find strength, and from our mistakes, from others' mistakes, from unfairness, from mission reassignments, from divorce, right? From all of the things that are unfair. There's that great line in Preach My Gospel: all that is unfair will be made right, will be made fair, will be made just through the atonement of Jesus Christ.
It's interesting though that, you know, we go through many disappointments, right? I mean, life is full of them, right? There's always something that's there, and there's one or two or three that shake us and let those Alma 7-Elevens really settle in and become like the reality for us, you know? Because how many times have you read that before, right?
Oh,
you read that 100 times or whatever it is, and it's a great verse.
And I bet you the teacher even says that before he reads it in that lesson. I know you guys, let's read this verse. Right. It's going to sound familiar to you, right? And here's Wade having a moment with it.
Yeah.
Right. And then you've got 50 other people that are just like, yeah, it was a good verse. Moving on.
They read their Sports Illustrated behind their insight.
Right. But then your life is like altered, you know, from hearing that.
Yeah.
I just think that's interesting, right? That timing, man, the timing for us to learn those things. You know?
Well, I think it's cool that you use that word perfect, Wade, because
it was perfect for me at that time. It was what I needed.
That's how the work is done.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The work is done perfectly as we tune in, and Tyler's, you know, Tyler, your focus right now and is on that aligning.
Yeah.
Right. And as we put ourselves in alignment, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that timing just happens to be perfect. That's what I need right now.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really interesting. So wait, I want to back up, you know, for with you for a minute and go in the Wayback Machine and talk about growing up, what your family looked like, how many siblings, and can you kind of paint us a picture of Wade as a young man or a young boy growing up?
I've got one younger sister, so it was just the two of us growing up. With my parents divorced when I was 16, 17, around there. We
grew up in Idaho.
Grew up in Idaho Falls. Yep, the whole time. Parents are still up there. Yep, so I go up and visit every now and then. You know, as a kid, you don't even realize this, but we were extremely poor. We were just dirt poor. There were times that we didn't have electricity in our house. My dad would rig something up to basically override the lock on the electrical panel. Didn't have
statute of limitations is up, so we're good.
Yeah, so we're good. Just right.
I mean, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have gas, we didn't have heat, we had water. There were times that we were basically camping in our house, is what my mom says. That's what she terms it. I mean, we fireplace to keep warm in the wintertime, boil in water for baths. So we boil big pots of water, big canning pots of water, throw it in the bathtub, and all four of us would take a bath in the same water, not at the same time, of course, but
right. Yeah.
but you know, one after another, and just, yeah, we were just poor. I actually heard Clinton Watkins mention this when I was listening to him last night. He said we were eating government cheese, and I remember opening the fridge, and the only thing that was in there literally was a block of government cheese. American cheese, disgusting. I mean, just nasty. Both my parents, minimum wage jobs at the time. They both worked in the potato industry, at a potato warehouse where they would sort potatoes. My dad was kind of a foreman, and he would kind of take charge of things, but my mom would work out on the line and just sort potatoes all day long when my sister and I were at school. And the potato thing is seasonal, right? So you're only doing it from about this time to spring. In the summertime, there's no work. I remember catching night crawlers at night. We'd make the solution and dump it on our grass, and the night crawlers would come up out of the grass, and we'd catch them all, put them in these coolers, and go sell them to bake shops. My sister and I, my family would do that. The four of us would do that at night just to make a house payment. My dad, my mom, so let me back. So my mom was, she's very stout LDS, very firm, no emotion, just, My dad, I got all the love and everything from my dad, I think, mainly, you know, but he's an alcoholic, on drugs, drug dealer. So we'd always have guys coming over to the house trying to buy drugs all the time. Things would get stolen out of the garage. I remember there was one time a motorcycle. He had a street bike, and somebody that he owed money to because of these drugs came and hooked a chain onto it and hooked up to his truck and drove it out of the garage and down the road. And so a lot of times I slept with a bat under my bed or under my pillow, just because you never knew what was going to happen or who was going to come around. So, but as a little kid, you know, you think it's normal. I don't know.
It's just life.
It's just life. You just go on. You just do whatever. Yeah.
Do you remember a time when you start to realize it isn't normal? I mean, maybe something happens, kid says something. Can you point to something, or is it?
So we lived in downtown Idaho Falls, and the kind of surrounding area was that way too. So all my friends grew up this way. So it wasn't really anybody that pointed anything out. You know, I had a girlfriend when I was a little bit older, 16, 17, that lived across town in a more ritzy area. And why she wanted to hang out with me, I have no idea, because I'm just a loser, basically white trash there in Idaho Falls. And she's on the wealthy side. But anyway, I don't know what she saw in me. So, but I don't think it was her. I don't think it was until I went to Ohio. I decided, okay, I've graduated high school. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life now. My friends are all going on missions. I'm going to be left here in Idaho Falls. What am I going to do? So, okay, let's go on a mission. then we'll all just hook back up when the mission's over and life will go on. So I go on a mission. At this time, my parents are divorced. I go on a mission and I just start watching people out there. You know, we're invited into homes, members' homes, people that are interested, people that aren't really interested in the message we're sharing and stuff. And I just kind of watching how these households are functioning and how these dads are working. Because even though I had a father, he was really never there. And my family was just kind of dysfunctional when I was a kid. And so I was always on my mission looking at all these families, just trying to figure out, okay, this is, how am I supposed to be a dad? When I get married, have kids, I don't want to act like my dad. I don't want to act like my mom, but I don't have any role models to go off of here. I don't know what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to act or how I'm supposed to treat them or anything. So that was a big eye opener on my mission too, was just going out there and just watching people and interacting with people and seeing how they dealt with their kids and their spouses and what I liked and what I didn't like. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, Wade, in hindsight, you know, in recollecting your time in Idaho Falls as a young boy in that time, what was it what stands out to you, or what were the lessons, or are there lessons that you take away from that you reflect on? You know, like I'll give you an example. You know, you know, there's times where in my own life growing up, my father and I were not on the same page on certain things. And even to this day, I still think about some of those arguments and some of the ways that things were communicated, and they weren't communicated well. And that to me, I'm always aware of that in my own mind. Like when I'm dealing with my own kids or my wife, like, I don't want to go there. Like, I don't want to be like that. I want to, you know, I'm trying to temper that. I'm trying to keep myself in a certain space. I'm wondering if there's, looking back on your time in Idaho Falls as a young boy in that situation, what does that do for you now?
Well, I think, you know, having a father that wasn't there, that was an alcoholic, into the drugs, a mom that was always there, but just really not loving, no emotional, anything there. It showed me what I didn't want.
Yeah.
And so I took that and I said, okay, in this marriage that I'm in, these kids that I have, I'm not going to act like that. I'm going to be there for my kids. I'm going to go to every kid ball game that I can go to. I'm going to love on them. I'm going to tickle them. I'm just going to, I'll beat the crap out of them. You know, there's no physical abuse, but we just wrestle on the floor and I lay on it and just, So I try to be everything that my parents weren't.
Yeah.
Everything that I wanted. That I never got. Yeah.
When your dad says to you, I don't think you're going to graduate high school, and you go on to college and the valedictorian, is that sort of the same thing? Let me show you.
Let me show you. Yeah. Let me prove to you that I'm not going to be what you think I'm going to be here. I'm not going to follow in these footsteps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but where does the, so for those that we got folks that listen there that are, of our faith and that are not of our faith. And I just want to, I want to highlight something and kind of drill down and ask a question. When we say go on a mission, we're talking about being an ambassador, representing the Savior and preaching his gospel. And where does faith become a source of power and strength for you in this growing up process? Or is it, you find it later? I mean, talk to me about that.
No, it was later. Like I realized, man, everything kind of stems to where my marriage fell apart. I think like I mentioned, I grew up in this faith. My mom drug us to church every week. She drug us to every activity the church put on. And there was a point there, I just didn't want anything to do with it anymore. I'm like, I'm being forced to do something that I don't want to do. So I stepped away from it for a little while when I was a kid, 16 to about 18. And like I mentioned, that my friends were still active. I had some really good friends. I still keep in contact with one of them every day. He's almost like a brother to me.
What's his name?
His name's Damien.
Damien. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's
good
awesome.
Guy. Yeah, we grew up in the same neighborhood, lived a block away from me. He was the white trash kid too. He was getting ready to leave. I had a few other friends getting ready to leave. And I thought, man, there's just nothing for me in the city anymore. They go, this is going to kind of sound funny, but we talked about Tyler and I, we went off to Ohio as ambassadors. My girlfriend at the time actually moved to Ohio.
Oh, get out of here.
So you put in these papers and you get the stuff back, and where are you going to go? And I'm like, man, I want to go anywhere but Ohio. I do not want to go where this girl is at. And sure enough, where do I go? I go to Ohio.
Oh, that's crazy. That's funny, man.
Yeah. And so I get out there. And like I said, I grew up in the church, never read any of the scriptures thoroughly, didn't really know much, go out there and totally overwhelmed. Just, what am I doing here? I don't want to be out here. I almost went home. First couple weeks I was out there, but decided to stick it out. Had a really good guy that took me under his wing and just helped me push through all that.
Who was that?
Brad Dyer.
Oh, Brad Dyer.
Brad Dyer. Good guy.
Mike Freeman knows Brad Dyer from the town.
Yeah. Small world.
I liked him a lot. I haven't talked to him since, but he made a big impact on me out there. Yeah. Just was so patient, so kind with me, and I was just everything I was going through. Anyway, so first year I was out there, just terrible. It was just going through the motions, kind of. The second year is when I really caught the vision of why I was there. And then it was just trying to play catch up because I'm only out there for another year, but I got 2 years to make up almost. So it was just pedal to the metal, just grind all you can to get everything done out on that mission. But still, it was going through the motions. I came home, still going through the motions, get married, go to the temple, do all that stuff, whatever, have kids and everything. And still just, why? Why am I doing this? But it wasn't until things fell apart that I really understood why, and then just grasped onto it and have been running since.
Well, can I ask about your parents' divorce? Because I'm wondering how that doesn't derail you, right? If you're in a going through the motions stage growing up, I've heard it explained. Look, I'm well acquainted with growing up with my mom was married 4 times, right? So I've read, I've lived the idea of even the best divorce is a crater in the life of kids. It's difficult, and I can imagine at 16 that would be difficult. How does that not derail you? Right? I mean, because you're not even really tapped into with deep roots at that time.
Yeah. So I think it didn't derail me because my dad was never really there.
Right. It was a formality then.
Yeah. I mean, I worked for him in the summer times. He had this logging business up in Island Park near West Yellowstone, and he would get me to drive tractor and rip all these, they're called slash piles when they basically come and do a clear cut. The Forest Service would come and do a clear cut of all the trees, take bulldozers, put them in these big piles, and I'd drive a tractor for him, pull them apart, and he'd load these things up, the logs up on a truck, drive them back down Idle Falls, sell them, leave me up in the woods by myself overnight. Sometimes he'd go to the bar and I'd have to drive him home. I'm like 12 years old. So, I mean, he just didn't really, I want to say he didn't really have an impact on me, except he taught me how to work. When he worked hard, and he worked me hard. Other than that, he just wasn't there. And so with my parents' divorce, him being forced out of the house and stuff, I didn't really care. The hardest part for me was my mom dating again, bringing a new guy into my life. I had a hard time with that. These guys would come and they would try to be my best friend and try to, I just wanted to be left alone.
Well, thank goodness for friends like Damien.
Yeah, he was always there for me. Yeah. And to be fair, my mom found a great guy. I call him my dad now. They've been married for, God, I want to say like 30 years. Yeah, almost 30 years. Great guy. Treats me like a son, treats my daughter or my sister like his daughter. Just an amazing guy.
And what's his name?
Take us all on. Dennis.
Love it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I think I love that conversation about faith, right? Because we talk to a lot of different people, and it's all over the board.
Yeah.
Right? Some people will say, hey, I've known since the second I stepped into a church building, and as soon as far back as I could remember, I knew, and there's some that aren't that way. And I think that that part doesn't matter. Right. I don't think that part matters. I think as long as we're there, right. And we're progressing, I think that's what matters. And so I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah. I've always known that there was something there, there is a God, there is something there since I was probably 12. I mean, I had a crazy experience when I was 12 that just led me to believe that there's something there. Even though I'm going through the motions.
Yeah.
God's there.
Yeah. We want to go there?
I don't know. Do you want to go there? I mean, it's just a funny little experience that I had that
I love them.
Yeah, we can go there. So I'm working with my dad, like I mentioned, in Island Park, and Damien's with me for the summer. Somehow I talked him into coming with me. And so we're both working, doing firewood, cutting firewood for him. And he would go down to Idle Falls and unload the firewood every night. So we'd get the truck loaded. We'd start working at like 6 a.m. We'd get the truck loaded by 1. He's on the road back down to town, unload the truck. Damien and I would stay up in Island Park. We met a couple of girls up there. And so there's a river called Big Springs that comes right out of the side of this mountain. It's just this amazing river. And it appears out of nowhere. It just comes right out of the side of this mountain. It just flows on down into this lake. And there's a bridge over this river. It's kind of a scenic attraction. There's a lot of people that go up to Island Park to see it. And there's huge fish under there too. The water's just clear. It's warm. And you can just see these huge rainbow trout. You can feed them and they just hang out there. So, I mean, it's pretty, it's awesome.
I'm packing my bags right now, Tyler.
I know, seriously, I want to go.
This episode is brought to you by Island Park Office of Tourism.
Right.
So anyway, we're up there. We meet 2 girls and another guy who's just a little bit older than us. I think we were 15, Damien and I were. This guy was 16. And he was dating a girl up there. And so the 6 of us, my dad had let this guy borrow his truck because neither Damien and I can't drive. None of us can drive but this other guy. So we all pile in this truck and we head, I want to say Big Springs is like 7 or 10 miles away from the main highway. So it's kind of out in the boonies a little ways. There's no lights, there's no cabins or anything around it. So we head out there in the dark. I should back up. So this is probably gonna get me in trouble. But I kind of had the hots for one of these girls and Damien had the hots for the other. And they were sisters. And so I liked one, he liked the other. Works out well.
Yeah.
So I was after one, he was after the other one, but the one I was after Damien, and the one that Damien was after me. So it was this weird cross thing.
Usually how it works.
Yeah.
Not that I can relate to this story at all.
Right.
So, somehow one of us got mad at the other one or something. I don't remember, but we end up piling in the truck at like midnight, and we head to Big Springs. And we get there, we're sitting on the bridge. The girls say, okay, we want to go home. And this other guy's like, okay, I'm going to take my girlfriend home. And Damien like, well, we're just going to sit on this bridge. You just take everybody home. And Damien and I, we're just going to hang out here. So they all agreed. So the girls pile in the truck and the guy takes off. And now it's just Damien and me out in the middle of nowhere, sitting on this bridge, pitch black, water running. And we're just waiting for the truck to come back to pick us up. And that truck took forever. You can imagine what the guy's doing after he dropped the girls off and the truck's taking forever and he's with his girlfriend, you know what they're doing. So and we're getting a little more irritated that he's taking forever and a little more irritated, and 10 minutes go on, half an hour goes on. It felt like an hour. And now we're just like, hey, I've had it with this guy. So let's start walking back. So start walking back through the forest along the road. And one of us came up with the bright idea, like, okay, if the truck comes, let's just hide in the sagebrush and just let him pass us. And he'll just end up at the bridge. We won't be there, and we'll show him, you should have been here earlier, and now you have to figure out where we are. So we agree to that. So we keep walking through the sagebrush. It's dark, there's, I don't know what's up. There's bears up there. There's mountain lions, all kinds of craziness up there. And here we are, just 2 dumb kids out in the middle of nowhere. So we're walking, and off in the distance, we can see some headlights coming, and we're pretty sure it's him coming to pick us up. So Damien and I, we kind of get off a little bit more in the brush, and we're kind of walking a little bit more. And I just hear this voice that says, get back on the road. And I turned to Damien. I said, did you say something? Do you want to get back on the road? He's like, I didn't say anything. Okay, I'm hearing things. Okay, let's keep walking. The truck's getting closer. We're getting ready to duck in the brush now. And I hear it again, but a little firmer. It says, get back on the road. I'm like, did you say something? No. Okay, we need to get back on the road. So we get back on the road. The truck comes. It's him. He picks us up. We go back home. I mean, there's no reason. Nobody's out there but the two of us. And from that little experience, I know that somebody's looking out for me. It just made me realize, I'm not alone in here. There's somebody looking out for me, whether it's God or whether it's a dead relative or what it is. There's an afterlife, because there's no reason that somebody should have said anything to me out there. So interesting story that
you carry with you today, right?
Yeah,
made an impression.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm curious. We've got folks that are listening that might be relating to this going through the motions thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And now that that's kind of in your rearview mirror, can you maybe talk your way through how you might help somebody that's going through the motions, right? Somebody that might be going to church on Sunday out of duty and not out of love, right? Somebody that might be going through a marriage, going through life, kind of asleep, kind of not deeply rooted, right? What would you say to that person?
Well, I don't know that I could convince them anyway. I mean, I think everyone has to have their own experience where they kind of wake up and realize, why they're there, why you're going to church, why are you doing all these things? Like I did with that scripture that I mentioned. I'm trying to think.
Were you looking for it when that scripture came?
I was hurting pretty bad. Yeah. I was like, why am I going through this? Why me? I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I've done the motions, right? I've done everything.
Check the boxes.
Yeah. And here I am dealing with a spouse and her drug abuse and her alcohol and her drug issues that she had. And I'm getting blamed for it all. And nobody would step up and help. I felt like I was all alone, and people were gossiping about me and pointing fingers at me. And so you talk about these little hinges too. So that scripture definitely woke me up there. Okay. I had a Relief Society president. I don't know if you want to expound what that is, but just the women's organization in our church that, she came to me and she offered me dinner one night. I'd never had this done before. And all the 15 years I lived I came from Gunnison, Utah. So I moved from Idaho Falls to Ephraim, Utah. I went to school at Snow College and then met my wife there at Snow College. And then we moved to her hometown, which is just 30 miles south of that, to Gunnison, Utah. And we built a house there and we were there for 15 years. And all that time, I don't remember anybody ever offering a meal. And here I am, I'm just struggling. My wife is out of the house. She's in a rehab. I'm trying to raise 4 kids at the time by myself with some help with the in-laws a little bit. And she just comes and she's like, how you doing? I'm doing all right. No, you know, really, how you doing? I'm like, okay, do you really want to know? Do you really care? You don't really care. So I'm just going to say, all right, because I know you don't care. And she put her arm around me. She says, no, I'm here for you. Let me help. And that was another thing that hit me too, is like, people can't serve you unless you let them. And here she's offering me dinner and I'm saying I don't need it. But man, what a relief that would be to not have to drive 90 miles to work, go to work all day, drive 90 miles back home, get home at 7 o'clock, try to make a meal for 4 kids, get their homework done, put them to bed, just to have that half an hour of extra time where I'm not in the kitchen trying to make a meal for them. As time goes on, this divorce happens and I get remarried and we move and get into this new ward. I had somebody ask me once, like, after we moved from Gunnison to Woodland Hills and got in this new ward, I was all about service. Anytime anybody needed anything, I was right there. And I still am. I'm just right there. This tree's falling down. I'll be right over with my chainsaw. Let me cut it out so you can get out of your driveway. So like I mentioned, we live on the mountain. There's trees. We get 4 inches of snow. The trees break, block people in. It's crazy. So anytime anybody needed anything, I was always the first to volunteer. And I had somebody ask me, like, why are you always volunteering? Why are you always the first one? Whenever anybody needs anything, you're right there. And I remember telling him, it's because I don't want anybody to feel like I felt. when I was in Gunnison alone.
Mm.
And so I think back to your question, Mike, you know, you go through these motions and you're at church and stuff. You may be at church and it's not for you. It might be because this other guy is struggling. Like, I don't know if that guy that taught the elders quorum lesson said, no, I don't want to teach it. And then, you know, they kept pounding him, and they said, no, you need to teach this. No, I don't want to. And he finally agreed and he taught it, and it hit me. So he was there for me, whether he knew it or not. I mean, I'm sure that goes on all the time. I think half the time you go for yourself, and the other half the time you probably go for other people and you don't even know how you're impacting their lives.
I love that thought. I mean, I think that's the, you know, sort of the essence of why we're having these conversations, right? Because I think if we really, you know, lay out all the experiences that we've had in life, and we start to kind of put pins or markers on the interactions that we've had throughout those times, we start to see that, you know, wait a second, there's less of a randomness to this. Do you know what I mean? I think that there's, Mike, you know, you always say, well, there's a conductor, you know, that's at the head of this. And
well, I think it's kind of liberating. If I was going through the motions and I was struggling, and I heard Wade say, go for someone else. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you know what am I doing trying to get it for me, when maybe going for someone else is going to fill my bucket too, right? Because that is the beauty and the magic of service.
Right.
Service defeats sadness. And I love that, Wade, you shared that, hey, I know how I felt, and I would not want anybody. And in the end, like, isn't that why we share the gospel?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know what it's like. I know what life is like without answers. I know what life is like without hope. I know what life is like without redemption or forgiveness. And so that should keep me up at night. Right. And that should keep me on the Lord's errand, trying to bring that hope to someone else. Right. And that's why kids get in airplanes and go to Ohio and do those things. I mean, sometimes I love your sincerity. You were getting out.
Yeah.
You were just getting out. You didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. You might have been going through motions and standing up there at a microphone telling people you knew. But as you go through those things, as you go through those things, it starts to kind of distill on you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, and I really think that Alma 7-Eleven in that elders quorum was a watershed moment, and you had been damming up, right? All these drips along the way, all of these experiences, and then it pours out on you, and it's like, do you get what Jesus did for you?
Right.
Got it. Loud and clear now. And now I'm a different person. I love that thought.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Wade, you mentioned that when you were kind of in the middle of it all, that you felt like people were pointing the finger at you, and there was blame being thrown your way, and maybe you felt like there was some judgment in there, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious what you would say to someone that's going through that experience, because we know, look, divorce in the church, right? We do marriage and family great. We do divorce really bad, right? As a people, right? We just don't. I don't think we know how to deal with that. What would you say to someone that finds themselves in the middle of that? Because I got to imagine, from what you've described, that's tough. That's a kind of a dark time. That's there's a lot of mixed emotions there. What would you say to someone who finds himself in that spot?
Well, as I look back at that, I'm thinking, okay, everyone's blaming me for this divorce. Everyone's blaming me for my spouse's drug abuse and addictions and things she was going through, for me destroying the family. I look back at that, I'm just like, I don't care. It wasn't my choice that she did what she was doing. It wasn't my choice for this happening or that happening or people gossiping or whatever. I can't control any of that. All I can control is me, what I do, how I react, how I respond to things. So people can gossip and do all they want, but you just have to kind of let it roll off your back, I think.
Yeah. in that situation, I'm also curious. You're at home with, I'm guessing, Cam, Allie,
Christian
Christy?
and Pierce. Yeah.
Pierce.
Yeah.
What are you hoping that they're, because your kids are taking notes, right?
Yeah.
You took notes on dad and mom and everything that they did, and now here they are. You find yourself in this situation. You got 4 kids taking notes about dad, right? What do you hope that they're taking away from what you're dealing with it?
So at the time, I dealt with this drug abuse for probably 6 or 8 years, and I fought it, and I fought my spouse's drug abuse and the alcohol and the lies and everything, and I fought it, and I stuck with it, and I stuck with it. And there came a time where I'm like, I've got to get out of this. I'm losing my sanity, so I just need to step away. So I actually moved out. I moved on out, and you remember Russ Smock?
Oh yeah.
I moved in with him.
Okay.
Somehow he reached out to me, or we got in contact, and he said, I've got this townhouse, and I've got an extra bedroom. I need some rent money, and you're looking for somewhere to go short time. And so let's make this work. And so I did. So I moved out. Worst thing I've ever done. My wife wouldn't let me talk to the kids on the phone. The only way I could ever see them was I'd have to show up randomly. And I remember coming home one day, and my wife just strung out. My oldest, Cameron, probably 12, taking care of the 3 kids. And I'm like, I've just put him through what I went through as a kid. And I told myself I was never going to do that. What am I doing? And so I moved back in, got my wife help, kind of got her out of the house and put her in rehab. And then I vowed to those kids, I'm like, I will never leave you again, ever. I don't care what happens, but I am never going to leave you again. And things got worse and got worse, but I stuck by them. And I think to go back to that question, they saw that their dad was just always going to be there for them, no matter what happened with their mom, with them, with anything. I was always going to be by their side. And so that's what I hope they take away, is that I can rely on him. He will always be there. Like my dad, I can't rely on him at all. And so here's another 180 thing where I wanted to be the guy that was always there. You need some help with anything, I'm right there.
No, I love that. I think, obviously that, we have kids and they're taking notes, right?
Yeah.
Of our good, bad, and indifferent moments, but I think that there's these overarching themes that stand out, and we go back to that discussion at the beginning, right? Disappointment, adversity, whatever it is. It can be transformative, both in the positive and in the negative, right?
Yeah.
So it's really how how we deal with that. And I love your honesty there. It's like, look, I got to get out of this situation. I'm moving out. And then realizing, like, shoot, I got to insert myself back into that situation.
Yeah.
And try to make change from the inside. I got to believe that those kids see both of those moments, right? And compare the difference of those times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dad gone, dad back. And I think that's a powerful thing. Unintended, right? You split and you're like, maybe this is best for everybody. And then you realize, wait a second, I'm going back.
I'm selfish. These kids are fending for themselves. Yeah.
But okay. So I'm gonna just, I'm a former Spanish teacher, right? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist.
He plays one on a podcast.
I do.
Yeah.
But wait, I am fascinated with this thought, right? I'm fascinated with this thought because where I'm sitting right now, I think my worst nightmare would be my life partner not keeping her covenants.
Yeah.
I think it would take a sledgehammer to my foundation, and I'm curious to know how you keep yours, right? Like how you're striving, and no one's perfect, right? I'm not saying you're going through this battlefield
unscathed,
flawless, unscathed, unwounded, right? And I think that's the perception is that the stripling warriors survived and everything was fine. They took on mortal wounds.
Yeah.
right? We go through these things and we're wounded, but you're holding on, and she's not.
Right.
And addiction is real, and addiction is a struggle. And I'm not
yeah.
making light of her struggles.
No, and she still struggles with
world
it.
are you again? We go back to your parents divorcing. How did that not derail you? And now your life partner. You know, we talk about marriage works when I bring my 100 and she brings her 100. She's not only not bringing her 100, she's trying to encroach on yours.
Yeah.
Her actions are eroding where you're at.
Yeah.
How, looking back, are you where you are, brother?
Yeah. Well, there's another experience that I can relate here. And so right about when I pulled the plug, I was the one that pulled the plug on everything. I was the one that did the divorce. So right about when I did that.
And that had to be agonizing.
I thought about it for years. Like, I can't keep going through with this addiction. I'm not strong enough to support myself and you and all these kids, and I just can't keep doing it. But I'll put you in rehab and hopefully that works. And it didn't work. And I'll put you in another rehab and it doesn't work. And I go to put gas in the car and the bank account's empty because you've spent it all on who knows anyway. But so I'm just at my end with this. And I remember getting in a big fight with her one night in front of our kids. It was heated and she was intoxicated. And I ended up leaving the house, walking down the road and going up on this sagebrushy hill in the middle of the night. And it was like February. It's cold. I'm out there in a t-shirt and my pants without a coat on. And I go to this hill and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. What am I going to do? And I sat there for about an hour and I see cars going past me, and I'm sure they were looking for me because they'd come by my house, stop in the driveway, back out, go down, look for me. Like, and I'm just sitting in the sagebrush and I just started praying. It's like, I can't do this anymore. What am I supposed to do? Kind of being angry at God, like I'm in a situation here. Where's the help? What am I supposed to do? And I just kind of came to him like, you know what? Okay, let's get real here and let's not yell at God. Let's ask God what I'm supposed to do. And I asked him, so what am I supposed to do here? And I don't get any answer. And I'm getting more frustrated. I'm like, how come you're not answering my prayer? I'm out here in the cold. I've been praying to you for half an hour. Give me an answer here already. And then it hit me again. Okay, he's not going to just give me a blatant answer of, okay, you need to do this. The way that I was taught is I've got to present ideas. Is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this what I'm supposed to do here? In this situation, am I supposed to do this? Or this option B or option C? And whichever one I guess is right, that's the one I'm going to feel good about and kind of like feel the answer, right? And so I back off. I'm like, okay. And I just remember sitting there. I'm like, I can't even believe I'm going to ask this, but is there someone else out there that you prepared for me? Because I can't keep in this relationship anymore. So is there someone else out there? And it was instant, like, absolutely. I'm like, okay, that's just my own wants because I don't want to be in this crazy relationship anymore. I want somebody that's going to be a partner that will take care of me, that I can take care of. So I asked again. I'm like, okay, is there someone else out there? And again, yes. And okay, I'm starting to believe it, but I'm going to ask one more time. Are you sure? Is there someone else I'm supposed to be with? And it was like, yes, don't ask me again. Kind of an answer. Okay. And so that little answer right there kept me from falling off the bandwagon, I guess, while I'm going through this divorce. I'm hanging on to that. Okay, I'm supposed to let this one go. There's someone else out there that's going to help me raise these kids. It's going to be a mother figure to them. It's going to love them just as much as their mom does, and they're going to end up loving her back. And shortly after that, it was probably around May, I found my wife. And she is incredible. I've pushed and I've tried to get back in the motion thing again a little bit, and she won't let me at all. She is 100% committed to Christ and the church and raising family, and family is first. And yeah, and she just pulls me right along with her, and I absolutely love it. She's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you letting us in on that. Because that to me explains so much about where you are right now.
Yeah.
Right. Without that experience in the sagebrush, without that, and I appreciate the honesty with the anger.
Yeah.
Because that's loss.
It is. And I was angry.
That's loss. That's grieving process. That is you having to pick up broken pieces.
Yeah. We had this saying on one of our walls, the church is big on families are forever. And we had this stenciled on our wall. And so we ended up with a divorce. And I remember my 12-year-old just being angry and just ripping that off the wall. Like, this is a lie. Families aren't forever. And I'm like, how do you answer that?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you answer that? Is it time?
I think it's time. Yeah. I think a lot of it is time. Yeah. I don't know. I still don't know how to answer that. And I think it's time with Lori. These kids have realized, she cares about them and will act and basically is their mom. They have two moms and both of these women love them the same.
I think it's powerful. I think it's, I don't know the answer to that, but I think time is a component of that. But I also think that just love is a big component of that, right? You just keep being dad and keep, let them know that you love them. And as time goes on, maybe that fracture becomes less. And, it's interesting because you can think back to your own experience, right? And think about your mom and dad, right? And where you're at and the time and the experiences that we have. I mean, I think that they're going to have something to fall back on at some point and say, gosh, dad was in the middle of it and found himself on the other side. I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, and at some point we want to be able to, we go back to the discussion about disappointment, right? We want to be able to say, I've been in it.
Oh, right? I'm disappointed every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been in it and it's ugly and I don't like it, but guess what? You get a little bit removed from that. And let me tell you about some real dark times in my life. And let me tell you about some real tender moments that came from that helped me strengthen my foundation or create a foundation. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course the answer is time, right? Because it's 30 years down the road. We're episode 7,500 and we're talking to Wade's son.
Yeah. You might be talking to my kids. Yeah.
And he's talking about when he was 12 ripping letters off the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And in that moment, he was still a child of God and God had a plan for him and God loved him. And maybe, like Wade's getting the answer. Is there another answer? Is there someone else out there that can give me what my heart desires? Right. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
right? What father, when the son asks for a fish, is going to give him a stone?
Well, and justified in those emotions too, right? Because I think that's important as well. I mean, own it. Yeah, that's a big deal, right? We can't just say, well, hey, look, everything's going to be, look, you're in the middle of it, and it sucks and it hurts and it's painful and embrace all of that, right?
Right.
Because I think that's an important thing that you got to be able to say, look, it was ugly, it was painful, and it was.
Yeah,
messy.
Tyler, I think of holding them both, right?
Yeah.
Families are eternal, and families can be broken.
Yeah.
And we can hold them. It's not a binary thing. It's
right.
like we can hold both of those.
Yeah.
We can hold both of those truths, right? And I commend your son for the courage to be honest.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Dad, this is where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
That is BS.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that right now is the furthest thing from the truth in my heart. And I'm just letting you know.
Right.
It's where he's at, you know? In that moment, I commend the honesty because, again, your family's grieving.
Right.
Something has died.
Right.
Right. All of the hopes that you had in that, you've got to come to terms with that loss. And yeah, there's going to be anger. And the beautiful thing about it, in your anger, in that sagebrush, and you're raising a fist to God, and he's like, I got you. Still love you. Right. It's not like Lieutenant Dan where we're cursing God and it's he's aware. He's aware of how you're feeling. And letting him in. And I love how the heart softens in that process.
Yeah.
I love how that transition to I'm angry to now you help me. Oh, wait, that's not how it works. Let me put together some things and let me ask a better question.
I got stones. Can you make them glow? Right. It's one of those deals. Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's that situation. Now, I like that. And I want to acknowledge something that you said too, Wade. You talking about Lori, right? And and your relationship and all the positives that she brings to that. And you said, sometimes I just want to get back to going through the motions. Right. Yeah. And she keeps that. I love that thought too, because I think that maybe sometimes there's this idea that, everybody's on all the time. Right. Like, sometimes you go into your church building, whatever denomination it is.
Yeah.
You look at the pews and you go, those people got it. They got it, man. And I don't. And, but I love that idea that it's just this constant, sometimes Mike and I, we've had this discussion all the time. Sometimes I got to have my wife tell me, look, you got to snap out of it, buddy. And you got to get your act together and you got to start pulling the boat or whatever, and sometimes it's me saying that to her. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's that. And I think that's a beautiful thing that
I wish I could say that to my wife. She's always pulling the boat. I mean, she won't let me.
Well, my wife doesn't listen to my podcast, so I can say whatever I want, so.
Well, and it just heaven forbid when you're both down. Right. I mean, I think that it's a complementary game, and I too, I'm blessed with that complementary piece. Right. When I'm struggling, she's there, and maybe we kick up our game when we see the other one struggling. Right. When we see a struggle, right? Then it's like,
Lori's gone through issues that I've been right there.
So it's time for me to step up, and I've got to carry some of this right now.
Yeah.
What gives you hope, Wade?
What gives me hope?
Yeah, what gives you hope these days?
I kind of hope we'll get a Republican back as president.
We're just gonna sit that one right there.
Are you saying with this question? Are you saying what kind of drives you every day, or what?
Yeah. What gets you out of bed?
Because I'm thinking hope. I really don't hope for anything. I hope for health. I hope that I can live long with my wife. We can enjoy each other. I hope my kids don't get into trouble. All the normal stuff that anybody hopes for.
Yeah.
But that's not really what drives me, I don't think. It's what can I teach somebody today that I wake up for. Like, I own a business. I'm an electrical engineer. I've got a couple other engineers underneath me and some mechanical engineers. Anyway, there's a few of them underneath me. And I've been doing engineering for 23 years. I've been all over the place doing all kinds of things, from satellites to prosthetic limbs. Right now I'm into gauges. I'm a partner in a gauge company. We build instrumentation, speedometers and tachometers and things for all kinds of stuff. I guess learning too. I like to teach and I like to learn. I come to work and I love to just learn new stuff and try new stuff. I love power sports. I love motorcycles, snowmobiles. I like to play on all that stuff. I love teaching my kids how to rebuild engines, transmissions, work on stuff. The oldest one, Cameron, actually when he was probably about 12 or so, we put an engine in a car with a tractor, just the engine up, just put the engine down in the car, and he helped me bolt it up and got it running. Ever since then, he's had a knack for engines, and he wanted to do a little power sport repair shop in my garage, so I let him do that, and I was right there alongside of him, helping him, teaching him what to do, what not to do, checking everything that he's done. And now he's a mechanic and does that full time. And I love people, I love learning stuff, and I love helping and teaching. Yeah.
Let me ask you, we have had, one of the things that Mike and I have that we've found important in this show and in this forum is the opportunity to honor people that have had an impact in our lives. You've mentioned some people today. You've mentioned Damien and Lori and some other people. Yeah. Is there anyone that you'd like to take a minute and honor in this venue?
Well, it has to be my wife for sure. I think she's probably the number one. I mean, right. And there's a lot of stuff that will happen you don't even know about with custody battles and lawsuits and all kinds of nonsense, that she was right there by my side through it all. And said, just don't give up, don't give in, keep going. We're going to make it through this. When we were dating, I was divulging stuff to her and it didn't faze her at all. You know, I could have been the crappiest guy on the planet and it didn't faze her. She saw right through it, saw who I was inside. She still says that, you know, she'll say, I wish you would just step up because I know who you really are. And I'm like, I don't want to step up anymore. You could be great. And I'm like, I'm already great. But she...
Will you please let me go through the motion?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she's got to be the number one. Just by my side the whole time through everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a cool thing, right? To be able to, life, we talk about this from the beginning, right? Life is messy and no matter who you are, life is messy and life
for her to jump in, number one, for her to, I mean, so she loves you, but that love has to be so firm to endure all of the other things that are outside of your control, outside of her control. She could have easily said, you know what? I didn't sign up for this.
Right. Yeah.
This isn't my happy ending.
Yeah.
I'm out. See you later. Right. But it must be like, I see you for who you are, and I love who I am when I'm with you. Therefore, bring on all of this.
Yeah. Or I'm just a really good talker. I can schmooze her. I don't know.
That's probably
or you took her to Applebee's. Fancy
did. Right.
Yeah, we joke around when we were dating. The very first time I told her I loved her, she said, well, let's just keep it like for now. I'm like, what? Okay. And then there was a time, I can't see this lasting longer than 2 months. She just didn't really want to get involved with kids and stuff. And somehow I schmoozed her. And now 7 years later, we've been married for 7 years.
Add to it, right? She's coming into the situation and there's kids.
Adele, Emmy, and Watson.
And not just kids, there's kids that are hurting.
Yeah.
And they probably have drawbridge up, walls up, super defensive. Kind of like full circle how you were when your mom started dating.
That's interesting, right?
Fantastic.
That's interesting. I love it. We've had a chance to spend some time, talking about your journey. And it's funny because you and I we didn't spend a lot of time together, in the Ohio.
Right.
But it's funny how when you're around someone and you can just kind of feel who they are and what they stand for. And it's interesting, right? Because you say, well, shoot, at that time, I was kind of going through the motions still, trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
But I can tell you at that time,
hopefully not looking too closely at Elder Gould and taking notes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Right. But 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
I could tell you that I knew Wade had something that was there, and I could feel that then, and I'm grateful for the time now. One of the things that we end our show.
Hold up.
Yeah.
I don't know Wade from anybody, and I'm just going to tell you, Wade, what I feel right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you've got a freaking lion heart. And I think that the experiences that you've had, I'm on Team Lori, right?
Amen.
There's so much there for you to give and for you to empathize with someone going through similar circumstances. And there's going to come a time when someone's going to come in and they're going to need to talk to you. And this makeup, this story, this background is going to position you to say, listen, let me talk you through this. It's going to be okay. Right. And you're going to be able to testify of the Savior's ability to mend broken things. And they're going to get on their knees and they're going to thank their God for Wade Snarr. Like, that's going to happen. If it hasn't happened yet, that's going to happen, because that's why, honestly, that's why so many of our burdens and trials become gifts, right? We hold them afterwards because we see, oh, wait, I might be an instrument in his hands to do something because of the makeup of my walk, because of the peculiarities of my journey.
Well, and I think, Mike, that there are people, right, that are saying, thank God for Wade Snarr. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I was at a funeral yesterday, and I was, after the funeral, there was an elderly woman there, and she asked me to walk her up to her car, and so I walked her up to her car, and she was talking to me about life. And then she said, Get
on the show, Tyler, come on.
She said, I never had a chance to tell this person this thing, but he was the most generous man I've ever known. Right. And so I just think of Wade signing up to cut someone's tree out of their driveway and let me sign up. What do you need? I'll be there.
First one there.
First there. Maybe, a lot of times people don't have the chance to fill your ear with what they really think, but there's a line of people that would probably sing the praises. So I count myself as one of those. I'm grateful for you, man. This has been a ton of fun. Our show is the richest men in town, and it's named that because of our hero George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life. And I don't know if you're familiar with that movie at all, Wade.
Yeah.
But Mike, it's one of Mike and I's favorite.
It's coming, Tyler.
Yeah, we're almost in that season.
Man. Hey, it's snowing in Utah. Let's go already.
It might be on already on the home.
Probably. But there's at the end of the movie, there's George's life is in chaos, and it's a mess. And he has people come out of the woodwork to repay him for his kindnesses that he's given them throughout the years. His brother comes in and raises a glass to George, who is in financial straits. And he says, to my big brother, George, the richest man in town. And Mike and I love that moment. And I can tell you just from our conversation that same feeling is what I felt today, spending some time with you. So, Wade, we end our show every week with the same question to all of our guests. What does it mean to you to be considered the richest man in town?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I thought a lot about that. And I don't want to be known as the richest man in town. I guess my wife hates this. I do a lot of things just like that actor in that movie did, where I get people just out of the woodwork. Hey, I understand you can fix things. Can you fix this snowblower? Can you fix this car? Can you fix this lawnmower? Can you help me wire my house? Can you do this? Can you do that? And she's like, it's either, where's my time? You're spending all your time helping other people. What about me? Or why don't you charge for it? You can make a pretty good amount of money, helping these people out. And I keep I've told everybody this. I've told her this. I said, we don't need the money. You've got plenty of time with me, I think, or I've got plenty of time with you. but we don't need the money. What we're going to need here in the future might be a favor. I don't need people to pay me for anything right now. I'm happy to go and help and give you a favor, and I might need one in return someday from you. So I think that's probably a pretty good answer there. Is I love helping people. And I love that they accept it. Like we talked about service before, you can't accept service. You can't be served unless you accept it. So I love helping people through hard times. I've called in a few favors here and there, and they're always right there willing to help me out. So it's like having money in the bank, only it's favors in the bank that I can call on, and they just kind of follow my lead. I don't know. Well,
you may not want to be known as the richest man in town, but with an answer like that, that's it, right?
Well, I think Woodland Hills is the new Bedford Falls.
I agree, dude.
Right?
And there's snow on the ground.
I think we found our George Bailey right here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's not a building alone. It's an electrical engineering shop.
That's right.
Somewhere, right? Somewhere
Another
in
banner
town.
day at the old electrical engineering firm.
I don't want to be known as, Wade Snarr did this or Wade Snarr did this. All I want is like, hey, I knew this guy once that did this for me. the guy was awesome.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of follow in what he did. So I'm going to go and, help somebody else. I'm going to follow that.
Well, it sounds like your kids are right behind you.
Yeah.
Mike,
right?
does that
same thing?
Wade describing that reminds me of the poem, right, that Monson quotes. And I'll spare you my
no, you won't. Come on.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the essence of what Mike and I are searching for in this podcast is those people that there's something bigger than themselves, right? And Mike and I talk a lot about trying to become the best version of ourselves. And I think if there was a formula on how to do that, I think it would be just help other people out. Right. And I think if that was our focus, man, this would be
sometimes
a different.
We could all benefit from a cold night in February up in the sagebrush, having a conversation with God.
Yeah. Gosh. Amen.
I think that's part of that. That's part of that formula for sure.
So Wade, we've kept you away from the whole crew and Lori for 2 hours, and we're grateful.
Surely there's a snowblower you got to go fix.
Yeah, exactly.
Or go blow my own driveway.
You might need to call in a favor for a babysitter to get out and take your wife to Applebee's. I don't know, man. But
or the Willie Nelson concert.
Or the Willie Nelson concert. But we appreciate you. I'm grateful that I know you, Wade, and I'm grateful that you agreed to come on and share some things, because I know through 75 episodes of experience, someone is listening to this and their life is going to be different because they've taken notes on some things that Wade Snarr has taught them, going through some similar things. So we appreciate it.
75 episodes in, Wade, and we have not gone down the roads you took us. So
yeah.
Oh wow.
So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful. I feel like I can go to battle with you, and I'm grateful that so long ago you got back on that road.
Yeah.
Right? Who knows what kind of boogeyman?
I know. I've always wondered that. That's probably going to be one of the first things I ask when I pass. Like, what was off the road that I?
I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you just kept. I'm grateful that you went through motions. I'm grateful that you kept going. I'm grateful that you are where you are. The Lori's in your life. I wish nothing but the best for everyone involved in this story. Right? Everyone involved in this story. We're all children of God, and we make a mess of things sometimes, but there's hope, there's grace, there's redemption, and your story has all of that, brother. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate it, man. Get back to that family. Tell them you love them. Tell them that we apologize that we stole you for so long. But thanks a ton, Wade. It was a blast, man.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
have a good night.
All right.
My big brother George, the richest man in town.